Welcome to the Central American nation of Honduras. Honduras is a land of countless natural beauties, so many that I could not begin to cover it all in one video, much less one trip. This is a land of such diverse habitats and ecosystems and such dense biodiversity that it's an ecologist's playground. On this adventure, I'm going to be trying to cover as many bases as I can, starting with the tropical rainforests of the mainland, then heading out to the Bay Islands, to the island of Roatan, where I hope to explore some of the tropical mangrove forests, and finally concluding with another dive into the Mesoamerican Barrier Reef, the second largest barrier reef in the entire world, where hopefully I can experience some of the fantastic aquatic life that live here in the Caribbean. Now on this trip, because we are going to be covering such a large ground so far away from home, I am going to be doing with minimal crew, so it'll mostly just be me and a camera, which honestly I think makes the adventure even that much greater, and hopefully you guys enjoy it with me too. For my longtime viewing audience, welcome back. For those of you who are just joining us, welcome. My name is Dan Voinis, and this is Voinis Ventures. My name is Dan Voinis. I'm a filmmaker, naturalist, and adventurer, and I've spent my whole life studying and working with wildlife, particularly reptiles. My mission: to explore exciting places, find fascinating creatures, and get them in front of the camera, so that I can share the animals I love with the rest of the world. These are my adventures. My journey through this beautiful tropical land will take me from the mainland to the sea. I will be passing through three of the world's most important, biodiverse, and critically threatened ecosystems: the mountainous rainforests of the northern coast, the thick mangrove forests of the Bay Islands, and finally to the towering coral formations of the Mesoamerican Barrier Reef. My adventure begins in the incredible tropical rainforest. Like many parts of the world, the rainforests of Honduras have been stripped and cleared for purposes of agriculture and logging. But there are still many places throughout the country where pristine jungle remains untouched. Honduras, like many countries in Central America, is a hotspot for biodiversity. There are thousands of species of plant and animal that call this one area home. The rainforests of the neotropics, Central and South America, are widely regarded as one of, if not the most diverse and species-dense areas in the entire planet, at least on land. And, I gotta say, Honduras is no exception. Everywhere I look, I'm seeing bugs, insects, small lizards, arachnids, birds. Everywhere is just moving. Everywhere is life. I can't flip a rock or look over a leaf without finding something that's just absolutely incredible. And no area in the world, especially not in the States, can certainly prepare you for just the sheer density and diversity of life. As I trek through the forest, I soon become aware of activity in the canopy above. It's a troop of monkeys. These are white-faced Capuchin monkeys, one of the most incredible of the New World monkeys. They are one of the most intelligent monkeys in the neotropics. They are known for rubbing their fur with anything from fruit juice to leaf extracts to even ants and millipedes. It's unsure if this is meant to keep their fur clean, to repel parasites, or even just to help them smell nice to other monkeys. In addition, in some instances, they've even learned to use stones as a hammer and anvil to smash open hard nuts, demonstrating tool usage. Like most New World monkeys, they also have adapted a prehensile tail, which acts as a sort of fifth limb, enabling them to grip and hold branches, able to support their entire body. While this is something that most people associate with monkeys, it is actually only known in the New World and nowhere else in the world. This troop is seemingly semi-habituated to humans. It's likely they've been fed regularly by the locals, but they still live and forage in the wilds of the forest. Capuchins have very complex social behavior that even now we don't fully understand.
they can patrol areas of hundreds of acres, and as such, they need a lot of space preserved for them, something which has caused them to become listed as a vulnerable species. Continuing my hike, I keep my eyes open for any signs that there may be animals nearby.
Now, the good naturalist has always got his eyes out, looking around for any kind of evidence that animals have been in the area. For example, I just found some evidence of a croc. I don't think it survived.
Deeper in the forest, I just happened to glance up and spy an incredible sight. This is a three-toed sloth. Sloths are one of the strangest and most fascinating animals of the neotropics. Famous for being slow, they not only move slow, but their entire lives are lived at a leisurely pace. Their average heart rates are fairly relaxed, and their metabolisms run very slowly as well, fueled by their diet of low-nutrient leaves. They only go to the bathroom on average once per week, which is usually the only time they ever venture out of the trees to the forest floor. They typically move so slow that their fur often grows a type of harmless green algae, which gives it a green tint and adds to their camouflage. While these are three-toed sloths, there are also two-toed sloths, which despite being physically very similar, are not that closely related. They likely evolved their slow arboreal lifestyles independently from each other, from a common ground-dwelling ancestor. As I press on, I continue to see more and more fantastic species everywhere I look, such as this flat-backed millipede, or this brown basilisk, a species of lizard capable of running across the surface of water. However, along with these species of animal, I also see signs of human development.
See how some of this land has been reclaimed. It's right here, spool of barbed wire. At some point or another, someone was fencing off this area, but this is pretty old, so it's been here a while. Very likely this land has been later repurchased and repurposed as a natural area. And it's all part of land and resource management. You know, people need land to live, people need land for agriculture, to grow food, but we also need to preserve plenty of it for conservation of nature. So it's a very fine balance to strike everywhere in the world. US, Central America, Africa, Asia, everywhere in the world has the same struggles, more or less, just with different skins on it.
My time in the rainforest has been incredible, but sadly, I must move along on my journey. I board a boat and sail through the Gulf of Honduras to the Bay Islands, a series of tropical islands formed from exposed coral reefs built up over millions of years. The coasts of these islands are ringed with dense mangroves, and much of the interior is undeveloped. Most people on these islands live in communities along the shores, some particularly old villages living directly on the water, the same way they've lived for centuries. Deeper inside the island, I come across two remarkable species: iguanas. The green iguana is a widespread and common species throughout the neotropics, but here in these islands, their numbers are greatly reduced, partially because of their popularity as a food source among the locals. Here, though, they are protected, and this is a sanctuary where wild iguanas can come and find safety. Green iguanas can be fairly gregarious, although they're not especially social. Males look significantly different than females, and these large adult males signal to each other by flaring their dewlaps under their chins and bobbing their heads. These head bobs can convey a wide array of messages depending on the speed and frequency of the bobs, kind of like the way signal flags can allow ships to communicate. Unfortunately though, sometimes communications fail, and the lizards must resort to force. These two large males are built both for display as well as power, and will often come to blows with each other over anything from mates to food to basking spots. The lizards are rarely hurt, but these fights can still be spectacular to watch, like seeing two dragons wrestling. The loser quickly takes the hint though, and retreats to nurse his pride. Among the green iguanas, though, I can spot a few odd members lurking on the outskirts of the sanctuary. This is the second species of iguana found on these islands, an even more special treat. This is the Roatan spiny-tailed iguana, a rare and critically endangered species of lizard found only on these islands. Characterized by their dark gray colors and noticeably shorter back spines, the spiny-tailed iguanas are the fastest known lizards, capable of sprinting over 21 miles per hour to escape predators. Both of these species of iguana can be found in a variety of habitats, including the coastal mangrove forests. Wanting to experience these for myself, I climb aboard a boat that, well, my captain assures me is completely safe. Making quick note of where the life jackets are, I climb aboard and we head into the forests. Instantly, I am blown away by just how thick and dense these mangrove trees are. If it weren't for these channels cut through by indigenous tribes hundreds of years ago, they would be completely impenetrable by boat and even by foot. I can't even see where the land starts from here. While mangroves may seem strange and uninhabitable to most people, what I am looking at now is actually one of the most critical and important biomes on the planet. Coastal mangrove forests play an incalculable number of vital roles in the environment. They protect coastlines from erosion due to waves, storm surges, runoff, floods, and boat wakes. They provide habitat for countless species of bird, fish, reptile, and crustacean, and also serve as perfect nurseries for many larger species of ocean-going fish to lay their eggs. In addition, they are also critical for recycling and fixing nitrogen in the environment, as well as storing carbon taken from the atmosphere, making them critical resources in the ongoing climate crisis. Mangroves all over the world have been destroyed or damaged by human activities such as pollution, development, climate change, and the global shrimp farming industry. However, worldwide efforts have become dedicated to the preservation of mangrove forests, and here in the islands off Honduras it is no different. My voyage through the mangroves sadly comes to an end as I reach the coastal docks where I will be launching my dive trips to the coral reefs. Before I leave, however, the mangroves show me that they have more special treats for me to enjoy, including a surprising group of animals in an unexpected place.
This is just a little hammock pavilion, and I see on the concrete, looks like brown little spots. And I think to myself, I'm, an Austin man, I've seen that before, and that is guano. So I just look up, and right here, got a small little colony of bats.
This is the Jamaican fruit-eating bat. These bats are fantastic creatures, and are vitally important for dispersing the seeds of native plants.
Now it's absolutely incredible that these bats, they're not just hanging here being dormant, they're actually flying around. These are bats that seem to be both nocturnal, mostly nocturnal, but also slightly diurnal. They are completely fine flying around in the middle of the day, foraging for food, exploring. Now these are fruit bats. Honduras is absolutely full of countless fruit-bearing plants, many of whom are popular crops throughout the world, such as bananas, cacao, almonds, cashews, lemons, coconuts. There are just so many different plants that live here that produce various kinds of edible fruits, and these guys are evolved to capitalize on that. They have not just the excellent sense of hearing that comes with all bats, but also an excellent sense of smell. When you look at their faces, you'll notice they're kind of scrunched up little noses. Those noses are wet. They have little channels throughout them, all basically designed to maximize the amount of information they get with each little sniff. So they can smell fruit or food from far, far away. Now, one thing you might also notice that these guys have adorable little eyes, very large eyes. Bats can see incredibly well. Most people, they're familiar with the expression blind as a bat. Well, that's not true. I don't think there's a single species of bats that are naturally blind. All bats have excellent vision, excellent senses all around. The reason that people think they're blind is because while they have excellent sight, they don't necessarily need it. Bats, of course, are famous for using echolocation, where basically they will make a series of clicks or chirps. They'll and then rely on the echoes from that to bounce off other objects. They hear the echoes, and from the amount of time it takes for it to bounce back, their brain just automatically computes where objects are. So even in pitch black of caves or in the middle of the night, they can navigate perfectly. Almost like, you know, like you see a comic book superhero like Daredevil or something, when really you'd think it would be Batman, right?
But again, this coastal area proves that it is still not finished with me, and has one more creature to show me. A creature that is almost invisible, and yet possibly one of the most dangerous ones I've ever encountered.
Alright, so I've come out to this sort of little dock here. This is estuarine, so it's brackish. Not completely saltwater, but not completely freshwater. And I was just looking around, and I just barely noticed. I noticed one, and then I saw 2, 3, 4, over 10 box jellies. Box jellies are a group of jellies, sea jellies or jellyfish, that are very unique. They're identifiable by their distinct 4-sided bell with 4 long strands or clumps of tentacles trailing from each corner. Now, these animals are almost invisible. It is so easy to miss them if you don't know they're there. And that's what makes them dangerous, because box jellies include the most venomous animal on the face of the earth. Box jellies are known for having a potent toxin that with just one sting is capable of killing a human in a matter of minutes. Now, these are not the most dangerous species. You find those out in the Pacific, the Indo-Pacific region around Australia. These are Caribbean box jellies, so they are less potent, but I'm not a toxicologist. I do not know the exact potency of their venom, so I am staying on this side of the water because it could be a very painful or even a life-threatening sting. Now, these animals are incredible because they have no brain. They have simple eyes. They can't see shapes or colors, but they can see light changes. So you can tell they're kind of sticking around some of the more shaded areas of the water. But all they do is just slowly undulating their bell to give slight propulsion, and they let their tentacles trail behind them. And those tentacles, with that potent, fast-acting venom, stuns and kills fish instantly, allowing them to then eat them at their leisure. These are predators. They're delicate, tiny predators, but predators nonetheless, and they are very, very efficient. Just proves that, one, you never know what's around here, and you always got to be careful when you're in the water or in the wild in general. But 2, you don't need brains, you don't need claws, you don't need to be a super developed organism to be efficient at killing.
These incredible invertebrates are likely not a lethal species. The most venomous species of box jelly are mostly restricted to the Indo-Pacific region, but I cannot identify these well enough to say for certain. However, box jellies in general are restricted to shallow areas near the coast, so I shouldn't have a problem with them once I dive into the depths. There, I have an entirely different venomous sea creature I need to worry about.
Welcome to the coast of Roatan, off the coast of Honduras. As you can see, this is a beautiful, beautiful place, but the true beauty is down below out there. The barrier reef off the coast of Honduras is part of the Mesoamerican barrier reef system. It is the second largest barrier reef system in the entire world, second only to the Great Barrier Reef of Australia. And while we're going to be here to enjoy some diving, enjoy the natural beauty, I am also here on a mission. This beautiful landscape, this beautiful underwater reef, this ecosystem is under attack. It is under invasion from a foreign invader known as the red lionfish. Lionfish are native to the Indo-Pacific region around Indonesia, Australia. They are a very, very venomous fish. They have a series of venomous spines along their back and on their underside, and they are voracious predators. Now, in their home range of the Pacific, They have natural predators to keep their population in check. But here in the Caribbean, they have no predators. And there are no predators adapted in order to hunt and kill these fish. Whether it's adults, juveniles, their eggs, nothing. They essentially have no checks, nothing to balance their numbers. So as a result, they're taking over. They can inhabit water from 45 degrees all the way to the warm tropical seas. It's estimated their numbers will keep growing until they range all the way up in Canada in the north, down through the Caribbean, along the coast of South America, down to the southern tip of Brazil, and even further. Now, I'm not one to sit idly by and watch a ecological nightmare take place, so I've decided to take matters into my own hands, get certified with the Roatan Marine Park, and be officially licensed to kill. I will be taking my trusty handy spear, diving into the waters and trying to spear as many of these lionfish as I can. The goal is not just to take out as many lionfish as you can, but also to encourage people to eat and try them and create demand for these fish as a food fish, because there's one animal that's proven effective at killing pretty much anything, it is humans. So if we can get these fish into the public eye, we can get people tasting their fish. They're very, very tasty fish, very mild white flesh, very, very delicious. A lot of different ways you can prepare them. So if we create a demand for them as a food fish, we might be able to encourage commercial fishing of them, which, while commercial fishing can be very dangerous for reef populations, to invading fish, it is the exact thing we need. So I'm going to trade my hat for my mask and snorkel, dive into the water, and take out as many as I can with extreme prejudice.
Donning my scuba gear and grabbing my three-pronged spear, I sail out to the reef and dive in. I'm glad I have a respirator in my mouth, because seeing this reef takes my breath away. In the shallows at the top, I see huge schools of fish swimming amongst the vibrant corals. And right off the edge of the reef wall, I can see a deep drop showing off massive coral formations. If you've never seen a massive coral reef yourself, it can be hard to accurately describe the feeling of swimming amongst the breathtaking underwater landscapes. My first big spot is a Nassau grouper. Not only are these one of the largest predators of the reef, but they are also a critically endangered species, threatened by overfishing for meat and for sport. This is just one of the many precious endangered species protected by this marine sanctuary. As I get closer to the sandy bottom, I spot a sand diver, a species of lizardfish. These are a bottom-dwelling ambush predator that will hunt almost anything they can fit in their mouths. They spring up from a camouflaged position in the sand and grab their prey with their toothy mouths. They even have teeth on their tongues. Not too far away, I spot a mantis shrimp.
Look out! Mantis!
One of the craziest crustaceans in the world, these freaky predators can see 4 times as many colors as human can, and they possess a pair of long, spearing arms, much like a praying mantis. They use these to impale and grapple prey as big as a fish for them to drag into their den and consume. Farther along on the sandy bottom, I can just barely make out a pattern before it starts moving. This is a young peacock flounder, a strange little member of the flatfish group. These weird little fish actually live and swim on their sides, with their eyes shifting to one side once they reach adulthood. This allows them to essentially bury themselves in sediment and become almost invisible as they wait for prey to wander by. But then, I find what I'm looking for. Coming up on a large coral overhang, I suddenly spot a familiar-looking array of spiny fins. It's a lionfish. Not a super large one, but even at this size, it is a voracious predator and is covered in painful, venomous spines. I cruise in, spear at the ready, and success! Typically, I don't enjoy killing wild animals, but removing one of these destructive invasive species allows me to indulge that primal caveman part of my brain that says, huh, spear goes stabby stab. That is, until I spot a big green shape approaching. This is a green moray eel, one of the largest apex predators of the reef. Moray eels are a large and diverse group of fish. Typically, these predators spend their time hiding in holes and crevices in the reef. It is very unusual for them to be this bold and outgoing, especially around people. Although morays are large, toothy predators, they typically aren't considered dangerous to people and largely avoid us. But this eel makes me a little nervous. With my lionfish spear, I worry that the eel may think I'm going to give him a free dinner. Morays have trouble catching live lionfish due to their spines, but they will happily take them from spearfishers, which could result in a nasty bite. Morays have razor-sharp teeth set inside 2 sets of jaws, capable of moving independently of each other. Not wanting to try and fight off a hungry eel, I cut my dive short and take my prey back to the surface. However, as night falls, I am not satisfied with just one lionfish. With a species that is taking over the reefs as prolifically as lionfish, taking one out won't do much. With this in mind, I don a new air tank, grab my flashlights, and return to the reef, diving down into the dark abyss. I am no stranger to exploring the wilds of the world at night, but nighttime in the ocean is a whole new level of dark.
This isn't your average everyday darkness. This is advanced darkness.
My head is on a swivel, constantly scanning every direction, because you really never know when something will loom out of the void from literally any direction. My underwater lights do a decent job of lighting the way, but the murkiness of the water means that countless specks of silt cloud my view. On the bright side, it does give the effect that I'm flying through space. My lights eventually find a large shape, a bit too geometric for the reef. With amazement, I realize this is a shipwreck. It's the sunken wreck of an old oil tanker. Thankfully, this wasn't the result of a maritime disaster, but an intentional sinking. It is becoming common practice now for old, decrepit, and condemned boats and ships to be intentionally sunk for the purposes of forming artificial reefs. They provide places for corals to attach and grow, and they give shelter to all kinds of sea life. Just beyond the wreck, I spot a large outcrop of coral. It's the reef looming ahead. My lights scan the nooks and crevices for any sign of lionfish. It seems like both the reef and the dark abyss go on forever, and much of the sea life I saw earlier during the day is now gone. That is, until I finally spot what I'm looking for. Not wanting to miss this shot, I draw back my spear, come in close, and direct hit! That's another lionfish successfully speared. But I don't have time to celebrate, because there's a second one just a few yards away. This one we almost missed, as it is inside a small crevice and right next to a large spiny urchin, so it'll be a tricky shot. With a fish already on my spear, this next one is for my dive partner. She draws her own spear, aims, nailed it! That's the biggest one we've gotten yet. Now with fish on both spears, we turn back eager to enjoy the spoils of this battle. We swim very carefully, cautious to keep the tips of our spears away from each other so as not to accidentally envenomate anyone. As I swim back to shore through the darkness, I look at my prey and reflect. Lionfish truly are beautiful animals and remarkable feats of evolution, and it's truly a shame that we must hunt them like this. It's not the fish's fault they're here. They're here because of careless humans. But we're doing what is necessary. The world's coral reefs are a crucial part of the global biosphere. They are simultaneously critically important, but also delicately fragile. They provide homes and habitats for thousands and thousands of incredible species, from the smallest plankton to the largest sharks, and they are considered to have the highest biodiversity of any biome on the planet. They provide food for organisms of all kinds, including humans, and they play a role in cleaning and maintaining healthy waters. Sadly though, they are facing threats from many different angles. overfishing, chemical pollution, physical pollution, and damage from boaters and careless divers all negatively affect the reefs. In addition, they face a two-pronged threat from global climate change. Both rising temperatures and increased water acidity from raised carbon levels have been killing corals on a massive scale. Then, of course, there's the threat of invasive species like the lionfish, drastically throwing off this delicately balanced ecosystem. It's unclear if we'll ever be able to completely eradicate the lionfish from the Atlantic, but it's important that we band together and try and combat the rising numbers of these and other invasive species worldwide, so that we can continue to preserve our world's incredible natural wonders.
Well, I gotta say, lionfish is good eating. Can't think of a better way to cap off our Honduran adventure than with beautiful sights, nice little fish dinner, and just a little bit of R&R. I cannot recommend enough that if you guys are ever in the Caribbean, you guys definitely try and eat some Caribbean lionfish. It's a delicious meal and a great way to support local conservation efforts to protect these beautiful waters. I would like to personally thank you all for joining me on this adventure. I hope you guys had a good time. I know I certainly did. If you guys enjoyed this video, please like, comment, subscribe to my channel, hit the little bell icon to get notified. Just get engagement going. I love doing these videos. I love going on these adventures, and the more support I get, then the easier it is to do that. And especially right now, I'm about this close. Maybe this year I'll get monetized, but we'll see about that. I wish you all safe travels, and as always, stay incredible.